Welcome in, Monday edition. Blue Sky Live here with you this morning. Chase Parham, Neal, McCready, Clark Ford Studio. Put a bow on the college football weekend. Ole Miss 40-6 over Wake Forest. Coverage rebelgrove.com for that. We're kicking off a new week of content here at MPW Digital, leading into Georgia Southern night game for Ole Miss and Georgia Southern Saturday from Hemingway Stadium. So we'll look at lines for the week. Again, we'll talk a little bit about the weekend as we go through those lines for the games involved in that also. So plenty coming up on the show. A show brought to you every day by Blue Sky locations throughout Mississippi. That's up and down I-55 throughout North Mississippi as well. Sweet Daddy's locations all over Mississippi. Ribs, pulled pork, side items, desserts. Look, you got a lot going on at night. You got kids, got activities, got soccer and softball and baseball and the whole deal. Let them take care of a dinner for you. They'll wrap it up, have it ready to go. If you call ahead, tell them what you want, wet, dry ribs, plenty of other options there with Blue Sky locations, including in Oxford. And again, coming to you from the Clark Ford studio.
We are Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900. Call that number, ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. It's right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle. You get your quote. The rest is up to you. Corey's not going to pressure you. He's not going to keep calling back. He's not going to drive you crazy. Just going to give you a quote. The rest, like I said, totally up to you. Shop it around if you like. You can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do, and let's hop into a Clark Ford today, 662-257-1900. Guests will join throughout the week on the Campbell Clinic hotline, from fractures and sports injuries to complex spine and limb conditions. The pediatric orthopedic physicians at Campbell Clinic in Oxford are the only specialized pediatric orthopedic team in North Mississippi, providing expert care for growing bodies. So visit campbellclinicoxford.com to schedule an appointment or call 901-759-3111.
Reading from the stream for a second. Yeah, we'll get into the NFL tomorrow. I was shocked and blown away by the Saints yesterday. In all capacities, what they were able to do offensively was not expected. Defensively, they're going to be okay. It was a lot of really interesting games around the NFL yesterday. I thought it was one of their better early season weeks as far as just sort of gameplay surprises starting to kick in and whatnot. So yeah, I thought yesterday was very entertaining from an NFL standpoint. We always do a lot of that on Tuesdays, so we'll do that tomorrow. But frankly, a lot like my college football, I need to just be put out to pasture like Old Yeller at this point. So very wrong on college and NFL games, which kind of makes it fun. You have no idea what to expect because I'm wrong all the time right now. So that is that's kind of that. But yeah, no, it was fun yesterday. It was really fun. I was recording a podcast during part of it, so I kind of caught myself like kind of looking up at the TV over and over and over again, sort of just amazed. That's the word I keep coming back to there with what the Saints have looked like through two games here this weekend. Somebody asking me, you more tired coming back from Wake or Alaska, Neal?
Probably Wake.
Just because of the late hours?
Yeah, I mean, I was super late. Slept 2 hours and didn't really sleep because I knew I was nervous about sleeping through an alarm. Then I had to drive to the Greensboro airport, drop off a rental car, get through security, get into the plane. My hope was I was going to sleep on the plane, but that was difficult because of conditions on the plane. And yeah, I got back, took a nap and worked and went to bed at 8. I was in the bed asleep at 8:30.
We have no bearing over what YouTube ads are. The way that works is an auction system. They pick out a demographic and a location that companies are trying to get on YouTube. They say how much they will pay for said thing, and the highest person highest company, entity, whatever you want to call it, that has that gets the ad. So that's why that is the case. And frankly, with Blue Wire either, we never know what's coming unless we go look. But with YouTube, we literally have no control or say or even awareness to what that looks like. So heads up there. I'm reading from the chat as we are getting going this morning. I guess we'll do this off the top. Wake Forest cancels this game against Ole Miss for 2025. It's talk about things just kind of solving themselves. We had a conversation. I don't know. It's been probably 6 months because we knew USC was going to get canceled for a really long time before it finally got announced. But at one point, Ole Miss had 2 Power 5 games on its schedule for 2025. Now they have none after Wake last week exercised their clause in the contract to pay a buyout to cancel the deal. I know it's been a cute, fun thing on social media after Ole Miss wrecked them on Saturday, but they did this prior to the game because that is what allowed them to save $250,000. Brett McMurphy was wrong because he did not understand the clause in the contract on what the buyout would be. He was tweeting everywhere, which is why everybody's picked it up, that it was $1 million that Wake had to pay Ole Miss. But because they did it more than 365 days in advance, it was $750,000, which is why they did it then, to save $250,000.
Of course.
And so they canceled. They got out of the game for next year because Dave Clawson said it without saying it earlier in the week that they would never have scheduled it had they known Ole Miss was going to be nationally competitive when they did it. He admitted out loud in the show that I watched and turned into content on Thursday that they were 4-8 when they scheduled the game, and that once they were no longer 4-8, he had no interest in the
this
game.
era.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand the derision that Wake is receiving for this. I don't get it. I mean, someone's going to have to fill me in. I'm clearly not dialed in enough to understand it. They had a contract. There was a clause in the contract that allowed them to buy out of the game. They bought out of the game. How's that any different than me canceling a hotel reservation? I don't understand it. I really don't. The people are going after them, including rivals on social media. I don't get it. I'm clearly missing something. There's a disconnect because I listened to it and was like, okay, I get it. I mean, and after being there on Saturday, the two schools are not even playing the same sport. I 100% understand. If you're Wake, you're not trying to win a national championship. You're trying to be competitive. You're probably trying to be competitive in the ACC, and you're probably trying to figure out a way to not be an embarrassing product where you can continue to bring people to your stadium and your alums feel pleasant about it, and maybe you make a bowl game at 6 wins, 7 wins. That's probably the goal. That is clearly not where Ole Miss is today. And so why would you volunteer that trip if you can just write a check for $750,000 and get out of it? I have no issue at all with that.
I'm curious who they're going to find too. Do they have a Power 5 directive in their?
I mean,
in
they're
their
ACC.
necessity? That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Do they have to play a Power 5 team in the non-con?
I mean, I don't know how that works. I don't know what happens if you don't. You're not eligible for the playoffs. I mean, they're not making.
Well, no, it would be a conference mandate. Yeah. The conference would make you do it.
Yeah, I mean, they probably could go find one.
Because right now, their games outside the league for next season are Kennesaw State, Western Carolina, and Delaware, which I don't know that I even knew that 2 of those are FBS. Isn't Western Carolina and Delaware both FCS?
I think so.
Kennesaw State has transitioned to FBS.
Yes.
But, okay. I mean, look, we've said this a long time for a lot of programs. Play the worst 4 teams you can find and just get 4 wins and move on with your day for the most part, if that is what matters. If bowl matters more than trying to give an environment to your fans to show up at the games, you have to figure out what you want that to look like. That's up to every school relative to their expectations.
I mean, I can go to one game at Wake Forest, and I just went to one, and tell you that their goal is not to make the playoffs. I don't even think it's a stated goal at this point. It's certainly not a real one. That's not what that is about.
Well, no, the goal is bowl games and just providing entertainment for your fans.
Yeah.
Those are the things. But my point is there's a balance. Do you want to give your fans games that are kind of neat, or do you want to just play the worst freaking 4 teams you can find on the pursuit of 6 wins?
There's probably something in the middle.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I'm a Wake fan, there was nothing about Saturday night that was kind of neat.
Well, no.
I mean, we weren't even playing if Wake is we're not even playing the same sport. You're back to the amateur versus professional thing.
Stream telling me Delaware has also moved up, that they're in Conference USA.
Okay. I did not know that.
Who knew?
So they've got one. So they just got to go find a Power 4 or whatever we call it.
Or not. I don't know. I don't know if the ACC requires that.
Yeah, I
have no clue. Ole Miss, however, does have to find a Power 4. They have an interesting schedule dilemma now, which I think that's why Ole Miss was just kind of annoyed, because it's really late in the game. There's not a lot of options. You have one weekend to do it, which is September the 13th, and you got to go from there. I was seeing on the internet.
Who does Ole Miss open with?
So they've got Georgia State and Oxford to open.
So I'm kind of wondering if they could move Georgia State back a week and maybe play one of those neutral site thingies. I'm guessing.
I don't anticipate a neutral site. I expect a home and home with the road game first.
Okay.
That is where my expectation
My
is.
guess is they don't want to play 8 home games.
No. That's why I'm saying that. I expect a home and home with the road first. Georgia State's on the 30th. The Citadel's on the 6th. Now they have a bye on the 13th. They have to fill. Actually, have to fill. You can have a bye, but you don't want to buy that early.
Mm-mm.
And then Tulane on the 20th.
Gotcha.
So Georgia State, Citadel, Tulane at home. And then we don't know their SEC openers, but it's another year where they are going to play all 4 non-cons to start their season. Yeah. It is going to be 8 games in a row because, again, we're simply flipping schedules from 2024 to 2025 at this point. Now I'm really kind of curious, what does Georgia State's schedule look like? I'll do this quickly. But no, I mean, Wake Forest did nothing wrong. It is annoying for Ole Miss, but they'll figure it out. I think I saw on the internet yesterday that Northwestern has an opening, I think Cal has an opening. And then I wonder if you could get a waiver from whomever makes these rules if you could play Oregon State or Washington State.
Probably.
Because they need schedules.
Yeah, probably.
Too. So would they go, hey, okay, well.
If I'm Ole Miss, I don't know that I want to travel that far in week 2.
Yeah. So maybe that's not even a thought. Well, you don't really want to go to Cal either, so maybe Northwestern would be your
Yeah, Northwestern would make sense.
Oh, if you could get Northwestern on the schedule?
But it's a Big Ten team. You
That's what I mean.
Chicago.
You get that
it's a 2-hour flight. You could get that done pretty quickly.
Georgia Southern.
Georgia State.
Oh, yeah, I went to the wrong school. Okay. Yeah, it's State, not Southern. They say Georgia Southern, this is actually kind of funny. They play USC next year. So it looks like USC filled them in.
Clay Helton versus his former team.
On the Ole Miss thing, yeah. They have all 4 of their games scheduled. They're at Ole Miss. They are Memphis at home. They are Murray State at home, and they are at Vanderbilt for their 4 non-cons.
Okay.
So Georgia State has no flux. Has scheduled. That's the issue. Is it's so late in the game.
What's Northwestern's schedule next year?
Well, let's find out. Is this the one we're trying to get now?
Josh, we'll address it in a minute. He says, thanks for the super chat, first of all. When the Kiffin to Florida talk gets rampant, do you expect him to speak on it early for the sake of locker room integrity? No. We'll answer the Northwestern question, then I'll dive into the Kiffin thing. I spent the weekend talking to some people.
Right now, Northwestern only has 1 non-conference game scheduled, and that is Tulane on August 30th.
What do they have scheduled for September the 13th or whatever that is?
The Big Ten has not released its conference schedule yet. So the only game they have set is August 30th against Tulane as of right now.
Okay.
So they have 3 non-conference openings, and if you can make one of those September 13th, then Ole Miss could go to Northwestern next season.
There you go. Problem solved.
Done.
Now, if you're Northwestern, you might not want to play Ole Miss. You might look at it and go, nah.
Yeah, because they got non-conference games and go, why the hell
why are we doing that?
And they're going to come in here. I mean, do I even have my stadium where is their stadium open next season?
I don't know.
So could I open my stadium with Ole Miss?
I don't know.
Just a thought.
They play in a couple of games at Wrigley, but not until after the season's over. You're not playing at Wrigley in the middle of September. The Cubs aren't going to cooperate with that.
No.
You might be able to play a game at Soldier Field. I don't know how all that works. Work it around the Bears schedule.
It's not open. Yeah, the new stadium is not opening until 2026.
Yeah.
So they are homeless again next season. There's not a lot of options, Luke. I mean, I guess there can be some other Big Ten options as well, but again, they have to want to play you too. And
unless you just decide to do a one-off, or say, hey, you can return it somewhere down the road. But again, here's the bottom line.
And they don't want to play anybody that can beat them. I mean, they canceled both USC and Ole Miss both decided we don't want to take that L.
Of course.
So that's another reason why I don't think the neutral site's a possibility. Because why would you?
Well, Ole Miss is going to be replacing a whole lot of dudes early next season. I doubt if.
Literally, look at that 2 deep and look at who's gone.
I doubt if you want to line up and play the BMS of the Big Ten. So you're looking to play somebody you can beat. They're looking to play somebody they can beat. And I don't know how future schedules work and all of that stuff. But my bottom line is I don't understand all the derision towards Wake. I don't get it. But I'm clearly, and this I'm making fun of me here. I'm not trying to be above the fray. I clearly don't understand the fabric of it the way other people do, because there's so many people in the media and stuff and fans who are like, this is a big thing. Let's really make fun of Wake Forest. And I'm like, they exercised a clause in a contract. That's all they did. And the coach was very open about it. And you know how I feel about that. We ask coaches to please be frank. They're frank. And then
Clausen was all week.
And then we make fun of them for being frank. Like, why do we do that?
Well, that's maybe my most frustrating thing that happens in media, in sports media. But, like, Clausen wasn't sugarcoating anything. All week long, he was just completely honest and went.
Yeah. And he referred to it as an ass whipping, and it was. The truth is, Ole Miss was pretty sloppy on a couple of plays. Otherwise, it's a 60-something to 6 game.
Yeah, Ole Miss didn't play well.
I mean, their fans left because the game was over. Frankly, the game, I'll say the magic words. The game wasn't particularly entertaining. People go to games for entertainment. That was not entertaining.
If you're the home team, you're going, oh,
well, you left.
Yeah.
You leave. You go home. It's a Saturday night. You got stuff tomorrow. The kids got school Monday. It'd be much more entertaining to go find the local pizza joint and take the kids and get some pepperoni than it is to sit and watch the rest of that. That's obvious to me. They're not again, man, if you watch the game from a dispassionate view, those two teams are not even playing the same sport. They don't look the same. One's big and fast, one's not. One looks like they're getting paid to play, and one looks like they're not. So I have no issue with what Clausen said or did. And Wake, the clause is in the contract. You can argue the clause shouldn't have been in the contract. Okay. But it was, and they exercised it. I have no, like on a 1 to 10, I don't even get to a 1 on the angst scale. But I'm missing something. So I freely admit that.
It's just because it's uncommon. We just don't see it. We're seeing it more because teams are going, why am I doing this or that? And what does this need to look like? But I think that's why. And it's just, and like I said, I think there's a lot of frustration on the Ole Miss side. Just you're trying to figure it out now.
Sure.
Because my hunch is, and I don't know this is not sourced even at 1. My guess is they sort of checked back with Wake at some point in the offseason when they were canceling SC and went, hey, we're cool, right? Because if we do this, we still got y'all. And they were told, yeah. And then it's like a month later, like, God, come on, guys. My guess.
But they might not have kept the SC series anyway. I don't think, because I think both schools wanted out of it.
Well, they did. Yeah. But it's an extra layer of necessity at that point once that. Yeah, I don't think they would have kept SC as the power forward at that point. Because, I mean, again, SC wanted out too. This wasn't an Ole Miss decision. No. This was both sides going, why are we taking an L?
Right.
Somebody.
One of us is going to lose. Neither one of us want to lose. We both have our own set of issues. Let's not do this.
Mm-hmm.
SC probably didn't want to do all the Kiffin stuff. When they scheduled that, Lane Kiffin wasn't the coach at Ole Miss. They probably didn't want to revisit all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Lane Kiffin comes to Los Angeles and beats USC. I mean, if Lincoln Riley didn't sign up for that either. So both sides were like, let's get out of this.
Yeah, it's not what he's looking for.
And Lane probably didn't want to go to L.A. and risk losing there. So both sides got out. And then in this case, again, I get it. I get the frustration. I get it completely. I get all the sides of it. I'm just saying all the derision that's being directed at Wake, I think it's kind of foolish. But I'm obviously there's a disconnect that I'm failing to see.
I think I'm with you, though. It's kind of close the subject. I don't think the Pac-12, the West Coast trip makes a ton of sense in week 2.
I mean, not unless you just have to.
Maybe you do.
Maybe you have to. Maybe you have to go play some. Yeah, that ends up being the trip you have to make. I'm just guessing early in the season they don't want to go all the way out to Pullman or to Corvallis.
No.
That's my guess. I could be completely wrong.
Yeah. So, all right, we'll continue. We'll look at lines in a second. First,
and we'll come back. And I don't want to skip Josh's question. So when we come back, I'll address it.
Yeah, we'll talk Florida. We'll talk Kiffin in a second. First, Josh Neal Creamery. They've got a home game this weekend. Ole Miss does. Let Josh Still Creamery take care of tailgate packages for you. Georgia Southern game coming up. You can order right there on their website at johnsonhillcreamery.com. You pick it up at Chicory Market. They're inside Chicory Market now, just there off North Lamar. So whether you want to feed 10, 20, all the way up to 40, they got their great feta dip, their pepper jelly. These are pepper jelly. Their specialty trays, grazing, charcuterie, sandwich trays, food trays. They got crudité if you want to be a little healthier or add that to it as well. House crackers, assorted cookies, desserts, and plenty more. Great quality. You guys have taken advantage of it in the past and now back with you again here for the 2024 home season. That's johnstillcreamery.com to order, and you pick it up easy on Friday or Saturday at Chicory Market.
Brought to you by Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating. Different names, same great people, products, and services. If you live in Oxford, Batesville, Tupelo, or the surrounding area, call Comer, 662-801-1777. If you live in Hernando, Memphis, or the surrounding area, call Southern, 662-429-4429. My post-game column Saturday night, presented by Window Hero. From window cleaning to pressure washing, gutter cleaning, gutter guards, everything in between, Window Hero has the expertise, experience, equipment that you need to make your property look and feel brand new. The leaves are about to fall. That's why they call it fall, meaning your gutters are going to get full. You want to get ahead of that, get your gutters clean, get the gutter guards on. Now's the time to get in touch with our friends at Window Hero. They're located all over North Mississippi, Oxford, Tupelo, Pontotoc, Holly Springs, and more. 662-510-7077. You can also learn more at windowhero.com. Ole Miss scored 40 points at Wake Forest on Saturday night. So Dead Soxy, it will give you 40% off your sock purchases all week at deadsoxy.com, DEADSOXY.com. Again, 40% off all week until Saturday night. So go to deadsoxy.com, check them out. They've got pretty much anything you're looking for. They've got a lot of the NIL socks. They've got all sorts of other things. The no-shows, which are the best you'll ever put on. They actually work. Check them out. Again, 40% off just using promo code Rebel Grove. Ole Miss grads Hunter and Mimi Simpson form Southern Q Sauce Craft Barbecue Sauce. Southern Q Sauce is crafted by hand, small batches, to capture that tangy, sweet, smoky taste with just enough heat. I recommend the Clucker. It's fantastic on ribs, turkey, chicken. Whether you're a professional pitmaster or an occasional backyard chef, Southern Q Sauce has the sauces and rubs to have your friends and family coming back for more. Check it out at southernqsauce.com. Use the discount code Rebel Grove, one word, for 15% off your order. We're also brought to you by Rustic Revivals. They're based out of Flowood, Mississippi. Rustic Revivals builds tables and other furniture by hand with locally sourced lumber. The husband and wife team of Josh and Ashley Pierce specialize in custom-ordered tables, beds, dressers, coffee tables, bookshelves, decorative cabinets, chairs, and more. They have a limited selection of ready-for-pickup pieces available in their shop as well. They deliver within 250 miles of Flowood. All pieces are sealed for protection. Podcast listeners get 10% off their purchase by using the code REBELS10, REBELS10. QR codes on the YouTube stream, by the way, on the Thursday show, so you can check them out there. Go to rusticrevivalsms.com, Rustic Revivals on Instagram. You can also order directly, 228-217-1243, or email rusticrevivals@gmail.com. We're about to talk about Lane Kiffin, Florida, Billy Napier, all of that. I wrote about it yesterday in 10 Weekend Thoughts, so please check that out. It's at rebelgrove.com. That is brought to you by Andrew Sego Wealth Management. How long should you wait to take Social Security? What accounts should you pull from first? Are you already retired? Should you consider Roth conversions? These are just some of the questions that can only be answered with the personalized retirement income plan. Whether you meet at his office in Collierville or prefer Zoom from anywhere, schedule a free discovery meeting. See what Andrew can do for you. It's rebelsretire.com.
You've had Wendy's nugs dipped in sauce. Have you had them covered in sauce? Wendy's new saucy nugs take the crispy and spicy nugs you love and turn it up to 11. Choose between flavors like buffalo, honey barbecue, garlic parm, or if you're a real heat seeker, try spicy ghost pepper. Only a Wendy's signature spicy nugs. I dare you. That's 7 delicious ways to try the nugs you already love. Pick a flavor, grab some extra napkins, and prepare to nug like you've never nugged before. For a whole new way to nug, it's gotta be Wendy's at participating U.S. Wendy's. As we get into the Florida talk, remember the still curious, the MPW Digital post game show up on YouTube, up on podcast form as well. So go back, hear our thoughts on that. Remember, it was a watch party during the game. Big credit to Jeffrey and Siskiyou for basically hanging the entire time from kickoff to the end of the post-game show. Brian there a long time as well. Appreciate him, and then Neal jumping on there at the end. So you can find that. I know a lot of my feedback has been really good from that. We'll probably do it again. It's better for road games and home games, but we kind of assess every week what that needs to look like and then go from there. But in the meantime, Realtree, appreciate those guys always. Realtree.com. MPW15 is the coupon code. You can, sorry, I got distracted by Neal. MPW15 is the coupon code there at Realtree.com. So take advantage of that, please. 15% off with MPW Digital and Realtree. So we get into, I'll set it up this way. Let's just talk about Napier, what you kind of hear and what you learned over the weekend. We're doing lines, so let's go start there with that game, and that's an easy way to set it up because it's a terrible football game in a lot of ways, but it's also kind of fascinating. Florida is at Mississippi State this weekend in Starkville. This line opened with the Gators -6. It's at 11 a.m. in the morning. It's down to 4.5 or 4, depending on the book of your choice.
So when I say this, there's nuance to this. Okay. It's a must-win game for Billy Napier if he wants to make it to October. Billy Napier's not surviving at Florida. This is his final season at Florida. It's going to end at some point. He's not going to make it. They've raised the money to pay him. They will pay him. Unless they can figure out a way. And they have to be careful here with the Jaden Rashada thing. They could probably wrap him up in that and come up with some contractual things.
Okay.
But you're running the risk of ensnaring the program while you're at it. Their better bet is to let that go away and just pay the man. Again, it's in the contract. It's kind of like the Wake Forest thing, right? The contract says, hey, if you pay him this much, he goes away. Okay, well, it's in the contract, so do it.
Mm-hmm.
The names that are going to come up, and this is one of those things that I think we have to talk about it once. And then, frankly, I'm not going to do this for the entire fall because there's nothing to.
Not every time a media member decides to mention it somewhere or it hit a headline. Because, guys, that is going to happen every single freaking day.
Yes.
The media is not going to hire a coach.
As for now,
calm down.
As for now, Billy Napier's the coach at Florida. He hasn't been fired. So anybody, is Lane going to address this? Address what? What exactly would he address? I mean, if you were to ask Lane Kiffin today, hey, Lane, there's some rumors out there that Florida is going to try to go make a run at you. How absurdly unfair that is to Lane. Because what is his answer? So you want me to talk about a job that's not open, that is filled by someone who is a client of the same agent that I'm a client of. I know him. What do you want me to say? Yes, I'm interested. Why would I say that? No, I'm not interested. Why would I say that? In a job that's not open? What in the world? Why? I mean, if I'm him, I would literally I would just look at you and go, seriously? Are you interested in it? Where's the job in your career? Are you interested? It's not open. Are you interested in it? It's ludicrous. It would be an emotional question. Now, that doesn't mean it won't get asked at some point. But at some point, Billy's going to get fired. He's probably not going to make it to the end of the season. And at some point, Lane's going to get asked about it. Because Lane's name is going to be one of 2 headline names at the top of that job. Per multiple sources. They're going to talk about Lane Kiffin, and they're going to talk about Eli Drinkwitz at Missouri. I have no idea whether either person is interested in the job. I talked to someone about Drinkwitz just yesterday. Drinkwitz is in a very similar position as Lane Kiffin. He's at a program that is not a historical winner, but is a winner in this environment. There are a lot of questions that anybody would have to ask and answer before you would even know whether either person was particularly interested. What's your NIL situation? I don't think it's going to be about money. I think Ole Miss is willing to pay Lane Kiffin a lot of money. I think Missouri is willing to pay Eli Drinkwitz a lot of money. I feel pretty sourced on both. How happy are they where they are? How sustainable do they think it is? I don't know. What is the situation at Florida? I don't know. I mean, there's a, you might have heard, there was some news yesterday in the real world. There's an election that's going on that the country will look differently one way or the other. I'm not saying better, worse, good, bad, not being political, but the two candidates are really different people, have really different views on economics. The country will look different. That election will have presumably been decided by the end of the season. I say presumably because I rule nothing out these days. That might impact it. How willing are donors going to be to keep giving to NIL, to pay for what? I don't know. There's so many questions. But if you're Lane, people say, why won't Lane get out in front of this? My question is, get in front of what? A rumor? So that when the next rumor comes up and he doesn't get in front of that rumor, well, then you read into that? What if in his heart of hearts today, September the 16th, he has no idea whether he'd be interested in it or not? What if his best bet is to continue with the same philosophy that he's always had on this? I'm not talking about stuff.
Yeah, once you answer one time, that opens the floodgates to having to answer every time. Because you're right. What happens is immediately you get the think piece. When you don't, it goes, well, he talked about that, but he didn't that. So this means this, and this is blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, and Austin, thanks again for the super chat. He says the media is going to try and will Lane to Florida into existence because mainstream college football reporters can't comprehend that Ole Miss is relevant. It's not really that. It's not really what it is. If you work at a click-based, where your compensation is tied to clicks, where your job security is tied to clicks, putting Lane Kiffin at the top of a list gets clicks. Now, if you talk to people associated with the Florida program, they will tell you Lane Kiffin's name right at the top. So you're not exactly making something up. But Lane Kiffin being a target at Florida is not the same as Lane Kiffin going to Florida. It doesn't mean that he's going, but he is a target. He's absolutely a target. If their boosters had their way, that's probably who they would hire. Now that boosters might not get their way. Auburn boosters didn't get their way.
Yeah, Scott may get his way.
And if it's Scott Strickland making the hire, I think if it were Scott, his guy would be Eli Drinkwitz.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's who he would prefer to hire. But Eli Drinkwitz has to say yes to that. And 4 years ago, Eli Drinkwitz probably would have crawled to Florida. But today, he's got a really good setup. Maybe he would leave. I don't know. Maybe Lane would leave. I don't know. It's like the people who turn around and go, he's never leaving. His family's here. Okay, your family's there until your family's not there. I mean, at the end of the day, all you can do at Ole Miss is you can try to continue to put him in a position where he feels like he can succeed. They've clearly done that to this point. Florida would have to presumably convince him that, no, they can give him a much better chance to succeed. And I don't know what Florida's situation is. And that's the part that I think a lot of people struggle with. When I say this, I'm not being negative about Florida either. I don't know what their NIL situation is. I don't know what it could be. I don't know what they're willing to commit for him.
That's the part that Austin, I think, has some validity to. Most people aren't willing to admit what you just said. There's a lot of reports that go, no, it's Florida, so it's just better. No. It's just better.
It might be.
Better.
But it might be worse.
But there's like this just because it's always been Florida.
I get it.
That's the problem.
I know. I get it.
Like, I get how environmentally that's annoying and frustrating.
Oh, I do too. I get why people are frustrated. Yeah. I mean, I look at it. I watch national media guys, and I'm like, I understand now why I didn't make it. I understand why I never got there.
Yeah, Florida has no chancellor, which I don't know if that matters or not. I'm just
pointing
that out.
It absolutely matters.
And then, yeah, no, look, Ole Miss has a very clear thing here. Do the absolute best you can to put the best product on the field possible. And when Lane Kiffin leaves, no, there's nothing else I could have done, and there's nothing that you could have done to stop him. That's it. It's simple. If he leaves or doesn't leave, you go, nope. You just because look, the next guy is going to need it too, whether it's Lane going to Florida in 3 months or whether it's going to the Buccaneers in 9 years. Either way.
Yeah.
You got to have the next thing. And you got to be as set up for success. Because look, I mean, Ole Miss has. I mean, look, there's a lot of replenishment necessary for next season.
Sure.
That is the focus. Period. No matter what anything else is going on, that is primary 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D.
It's one of the reasons I've said all along. The whole Last Dance thing is it's kind of an odd messaging. I've said that all along, and I've got some people get kind of angry at me, but I still stick to it. I think it's an odd message.
And I think that's what boosters are counting on is Kiffin igniting an NIL or no matter where he is.
Sure. It's exactly what they're counting on. I mean, if you're Florida, I totally understand why you would target Lane Kiffin.
Mm-hmm.
He went to an SEC school that wasn't winning, turned them around from an NIL standpoint, turned them around from a transfer portal standpoint. One of the criticisms of Napier is that he was very slow to act in the portal. Kiffin was very quick to act in the portal. So they look at it and go, hey, he did it there. Maybe he could do it here. The same reason they look at Drinkwitz. He did it at Missouri, and Missouri's very good. Missouri in their last 16 games is the exact same record as Ole Miss. They're 14-2.
14-2.
That's what they are in their last 16 games. They won an Access Bowl against a power school. So did Ole Miss. They're ranked, what are they ranked? 7th, 6th, 7th?
7th.
I don't know. Top 10.
I got that up somewhere.
They're top 10 in the country. So is Ole Miss. If the playoff were held today, they'd make the playoff. So would Ole Miss. I get it. I get why if you're Florida, those are the two people you look at. It makes perfect sense. It doesn't mean that you're going to get either one of them.
4 to 8 in the polls today is Alabama, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Missouri.
Yeah, and I've said this. I think you could toss those teams in a hat, draw differently, and it's fine. Whatever. Who cares?
It will work itself out.
Sure.
Soon. Really soon. Somebody has Tennessee all the way down at 12. How do you justify that? That makes no sense.
I don't know. Because they have played somebody. They played NC State.
Yeah.
And
beat 3 voters have them at 12.
Beat the living hell out of them.
Yeah. John Wilner has Missouri down at 15.
No, I just don't see that.
Has Ole Miss at 11 for their lowest vote, too.
I mean, your Ole Miss argument would they haven't played anybody. Missouri's played somebody. They beat Boston College.
Ole Miss's highest ranking is number 2 by Cokie Riley of the Baton Rouge Advocate.
Yeah. I think you could put Ole Miss at 2. Sure. You want to argue right now that Ole Miss is better than Georgia after these 3 games? Sure. If you want to argue that Georgia's better than Ole Miss, sure, whatever. I mean, it'll all.
Texas did move to number 1 in the top 25 this week, which Georgia really, really, really scuffled. Got very lucky. Typically, poll mechanics will keep you where you are if you win, but there's been a pretty wide discrepancy between those 2 through 3 weeks. Texas getting 1,540 points to Georgia's 1,518. And Ole Miss pretty comfortable there at 5. They're 42 points behind Bama and 150 ahead of Tennessee.
Yeah.
Sitting at number 5.
It'll all sort itself out. Ole Miss plays Georgia.
They do.
On the field.
Alabama plays Georgia in 2 weeks.
Yeah. 12 days.
Bama has a bye. Does Georgia have a bye?
Yeah, they both have buys.
That's cute.
That's fine.
Yeah. I don't mind.
No.
I don't hate that. Miami 8, Oregon 9, Penn State 10, SC 11, and SEC teams. Oklahoma 15, LSU 16. A&M 25. Good Lord. Okay. That was on the heels of Cokie Riley having them at 14, also the highest there from the Advocate guy. So. All right. I guess because I mentioned this game, Florida, again, giving 4, 4.5, depending on where you're at here. State sucks. God, they're awful. That game on Saturday, because I had it on for a lot of it on my computer while we were doing the watch party. Toledo just didn't win, didn't just dominate. They were bigger. They were faster. They were better at almost every position. They were more composed.
State's the worst team in the league.
That was...
They're the worst team in the league. They're not in a good spot right now. They're way behind on the NIL thing.
That's the issue, is when you look and go, okay, how do we fix this? And there's not a great answer.
I mean, they fired a perfectly good coach.
Yeah. And Newt Rockne wasn't going to win with them this year.
Oh, it's about players.
But what you do moving forward is I don't know, because they don't have a ton of money.
Right, moving forward, right now you just lose. That's what you do moving forward.
And I mean,
you just lose. You're going to have to give somebody, whether it's Jeff Lebby or the next guy, you're going to have to give them time. And you might have to accept the fact that in this particular environment, you can't do it. It won't work. And I think that's where they are. I don't think they have the financial wherewithal to be competitive in this environment.
Let's just do this quickly on how bad this is for them from this season standpoint. And I listened to several of the people who were not crazy on the beat talking after the game, and they painted the exact same picture. They're 1-2 now after losses to Arizona State and Toledo.
Mm-hmm.
Florida on Saturday, they're not the better team. Florida's more athletic and more talented than Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Texas, Georgia, A&M, Arkansas, UMass, not a guarantee. Tennessee, Missouri, and Ole Miss. That's 2-10.
Probably. I mean, I'll give them one just for the sake of it. 3-9, sure.
But if you took their under 4.5, you're feeling real good about your money now.
Yeah, you won.
Go ahead, spend it.
Sure.
Because that can't get to 5.
And he's got cultural issues on that team that he's trying to figure out.
They've had 3 players quit the team in 3 weeks.
Yeah, and I'm not inside it, so
I don't know why. I'm just telling you that has happened.
Right. It may have been because they were told to quit. I don't know the inside dynamics of it.
But it's been pretty rough. Let's see. It's the 19th. It's a Thursday. Thursday, the only game is South Alabama, Appalachian State. Stanford, Syracuse. Illinois, Nebraska on Friday.
It's a good game.
It's an okay game, yeah.
No, it's a good game. Two programs that are
Nebraska giving 8.5 at home in Lincoln to the Illini.
Yeah.
Houston, Cincinnati in a Big 12 game. Glad we have that now. It's awesome. Marshall, Ohio State, Charlotte, Indiana, Kansas, West Virginia. Neal Brown struggling right now.
He's done.
Really needed that one. Pat Narduzzi got it instead.
Yeah.
Then admitted out loud he beat the Mountaineers and the officials on Saturday.
Narduzzi did?
Yeah. He was in a mood after the win. West Virginia giving 2.5 at home to Kansas on Saturday. Little Big 12 matchup there.
Yeah.
Feels like Jaden Daniels, or is that his name? Jaden was the Kentucky quarterback's Kansas quarterback's name. Is that Jaden?
It's something. I can't remember his name.
Yeah. He looks like the bubbles popped a little on him. He struggled last Saturday. James Madison, North Carolina. North Carolina giving 10 to the Dukes. NC State, Clemson. Dave Doran probably in for a pretty tough year. Clemson giving them 17 on Saturday at Clemson. Looks like one of those size-speed ratio issues for North Carolina State this year in 2024.
Yeah, I should put my picks out early in the week so people have enough time to go fade me. I mean, I miss every pick.
You're probably ahead of me by 9 games through 3 weeks.
I think I'm ahead of you by 3, but sure.
Jeffrey told me he thought he went over.
He didn't go over.
Okay.
We're all under 500, though, after 3 weeks.
We had that same year 2 years ago, too. Like, historically, it's been okay, but money coming in. Historically, it's been okay, but I think 2 years ago was the year we were really bad for the majority of the year. So this doesn't show it. I don't know how you get them right because there is no pattern to anything right now. I mean, that's what I was watching Saturday's games and going, there's a flaw everywhere, and it's just whether the other team can expose that flaw or not, and it's just this big circle that's going on at the moment. I mean, there's no team you have 3 teams that you kind of feel really good about right now betting, and that's it. Ole Miss, Texas, and Tennessee.
Yes. I do feel good about Tennessee at this point.
Yeah.
Josh, thanks, man.
We were worried about the 47.5, and they dropped 60-something in the first half on the flashes.
I never even thought about going the other way.
Tennessee as a program has historically, they beat the raw hell out of bad teams. That is what they do, is just roll bad teams.
I do think it's possible that we are underrating Tennessee at this point.
It's possible.
That we are doing that a lot of people in the media are doing the media narrative thing, which is absolutely gets done.
I'm putting I picked them in the preseason to make the playoff. I think I'm a little skeptical just because I want to see I want to see Nico through a full season in his first year.
Yeah.
There are going to be some growing pains unless you're Johnny Manziel.
He might
Maybe
be.
damn you are.
And he might be.
Yeah, sure. But that would be my thing. But no,
We talk about deep balls. His deep ball is majestic.
Oh, he's one guy that so far looks like he's worth the money.
Sure.
Whatever it is.
Well, I mean, look, we haven't done this argument in a while. I think if it ended today, 6 SEC teams would make the playoff. And I absolutely think it's a possibility.
The problem is we haven't gotten into the schedule losses yet because you have to beat each other.
But the computers are going to look at it and go, well, I mean, great beat great. Not punishing the great for losing to the great.
I mean, if I told you right now 3 or 5, you're going 5.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh, I think 5's a lock.
Oh, you think 5's a lock?
A lock. An absolute lock.
Oh, interesting. So that would have them swiping 5 of the 8 possibles.
Yeah.
Because you're guaranteed 1. And
yeah,
then,
100%.
Yeah.
ACC is going to get 1 bid. Big 12 is going to get 1 bid. And SEC is going to get a bunch of bids because it's better than the Big 10.
So that has the Big 10 as a 2-bid league. Maybe a 3.
Maybe a 3. Because Notre Dame's not getting in.
That's true. Okay.
So a Big 10 would get 3.
Okay. We'll look at that as we go on.
5, 3, 1, 1.
1, 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
ACC 1, Big 12 1, Group of 5 1.
Mm-hmm. So that's 3. And then actually you could get 5 and 4.
You could.
Yeah, so you get 6. I go back tomorrow. If you made me bet today, I'd bet 6.
Okay.
Because I just don't think there's going to be a bunch of SEC losses. I mean,
you think the good teams are going to beat everybody but each other?
Yeah.
So you got a bunch of gaudy 10-2s out there. 11-1s, whatever.
I mean, I watch Tennessee play. I watch Texas play. I watch Ole Miss play. I don't think those teams are losing 3 times.
Yeah. Which puts you in the playoff. Yeah. All right. We'll continue to look at this in a second. First, it's Citizens Bank. You're not just an account number. You're a valued member of the community. Find yourself in the market for a loan, whether for a new car, mortgage, business, or checking or savings account. Here to help you achieve your financial goals. So stop by to visit today, 902 Sisk Avenue in Oxford. We're speaking of mortgages. They now have Whit Wilson on staff. A lot of Oxonians know him, and he can help you with your mortgage needs as well. Also, when you're in there, make sure that you ask about the School Spirit debit cards and how they donate an amount per every transaction to the local school of your choice, whether it's Oxford, Lafayette, or Regents. That's the Citizens Bank, PHILA.com.
We're brought to you by Grenada Home Center. They've got paints by Benjamin Moore, Pittsburgh Paints, Farrell Calhoun, flooring of any and all types, stone countertops, whether you're looking for granite, quartz, or anything else, window treatments from plantation shutters to whatever else suits your fancy. It's Grenada Home Center, 1301 Sunset Drive, Suite H in Grenada. You can also call them at 662-226-3127. The holidays will be here before you know it. Check out Arnett's Fine Jewelry. It's a 4th-generation jeweler located on North Lamar Avenue in Oxford in the old Lammon's Jewelry Building. They've got expert jewelry repair, diamond engagement rings, wedding bands, so much more. Great gifts for all occasions, birthdays, graduations, anniversaries, flexible bangles, diamond pendants, earrings, and more. If your wife is expecting, they can help you with that perfect push present. They can help you with an awesome gift for Christmas as well. At Arnett's, they want to be your jeweler. The College Corner, place to go if you're coming up for the Georgia Southern game this week. Stop by the College Corner right there off Sisk Avenue at the Oxford Commons. More than 4,000 square feet of the best Rebel gear. Plenty of parking available. Their staff's going to have you in and out, ready for the Grove in no time. It's open now. You can also check out the 2 locations in Jackson and collegecornerstore.com. We're brought to you by Wonderbird Spirits. Mississippi's only gin distillery, Wonderbird, is located on Old Taylor Road between Oxford and Taylor, just minutes from the square. If you're thinking about an event, planned get-together around football season, get in touch with them at Wonderbird. They've got a 7,500 square foot state-of-the-art distillery operation. It's great for parties, get-togethers, that kind of thing. Check them out. Rentals for football game weekends, they've gone on sale. They're very limited. They can accommodate private parties of various sizes. They offer a tasting room, grounds, bathrooms, catering room. It's just part of the packages. WonderbirdSpirits.com. Follow them on Instagram at Wonderbird Spirits. You can also email them at info@wonderbirdspirits.com or call 662-205-0779. I'll have a Mind on My Money again this week. It's brought to you by Argent Wealth. They're based in Ridgeland, Mississippi. Clients in more than 20 states. They provide detailed, specialized investment management. Financial planning, retirement planning for individuals and businesses, and much, much more. It's at Argent, investing is treated like a commodity. Decisions are made using objective information and research, not emotions. It's myargentwealth.com. And we're brought to you by John Edwards, Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. John's part of Virtuoso. It's a worldwide network of travel partners that allows him to supply his clients with added values, unique benefits simply not available to other travelers. Get in touch with him, give him some parameters, give him a budget. He will help you create a trip that makes a lifetime of unique memories. 901-494-3387 or send him an email at jedwards@regencytravel.net. Get the beautiful, healthy smile you deserve at Corinth Dental. Dr. Bubba McQueen, Dr. Jenny Beth Hendrick are devoted to restoring and enhancing the natural beauty of your smile using conservative, state-of-the-art procedures that will result in a beautiful, long-lasting smile. From routine checkups to advanced treatment, including implants and Invisalign, Corinth Dental is here to help you achieve your smile goals. Schedule your appointment today. Take the first step toward a better version of yourself. It's corinthdental.com.
Let's see where are we at in Kentucky. They face the Ohio Bobcats on Saturday. Kentucky was favored by 18.5 after that very spirited effort, especially defensively against the Georgia Bulldogs on Saturday. I got caught last night. I like a lot of the stuff that Roddy and the guys at UGAsports.com do, and they do a film study on Sunday that I had clicked on more to see how they do it. I was watching it for more technical reasons than anything else, and kind of the ways they do it versus Pete and sort of how it's different or the same or anything. And I caught myself really following it because schematically and physically, Kentucky was dominating that football game up front in ways because, as they were talking about it, two things. One, Beck's not a runner, but they still do a lot of read mesh concepts that sort of they don't have to rely on following Beck. They can focus completely on the tailback and not on the quarterback. And it creates, if you have that ability defensively on the front, it creates a lot of havoc there. And then, unlike a lot of seasons, Georgia's not as good out wide at wide receiver. And that's affecting their run game and a lot of stuff up in the pressure points there, according to the guys at UGA Sports last night.
Well, Mike Griffith, who covers Georgia for the AJC, one of my really good friends, one of my few friends at this point in the business. And he told me, I guess it was about 2 weeks ago, he was like, "You're way too high on Georgia." And I was like, "Well, you would know better than me. I'm not there." And he said, "Yeah, this is not the same team." That's what he said. Not the same team.
Okay.
He said they're not as good at receiver. They're not as good up front.
They're damn sure not as good at tight end because those guys are gone.
He just made the comment. He goes, you lose as much as they've lost over a couple of seasons, and there will be the bill comes in. It's true. I mean, like next season for Ole Miss, the bill's going to come in at some point. Doesn't mean they're going to suck. Don't get me wrong. But at some point, you're going to struggle to replace all those guys. You'll see, okay, there's a fall off here.
Mm-hmm.
We're going with young guys here that aren't whatever. And Georgia's in that spot. They've lost a lot of people, most to the NFL, frankly. It's hard to replace all those people. And he was just like, you're way too high on Georgia. It doesn't mean they won't make the playoff. But he was like, I think the people that are acting like this is going to be
the superpower of
well,
all
just that this is going to
superpowers.
be a team that's going to race to the final with no friction. I think he's like, I think they're wrong. He goes, Georgia has a really difficult schedule, and they have several difficult trips, and this was not including Kentucky at the time. And then I think on the flip side of this, let's give some credit to Kentucky. This is what we do that drives me, where I'm coming, drives me insane. Everything is about Georgia sucks. See, look, Georgia sucks. Look. Kentucky had a great plan. Stoops has been very consistent there for a long time. They have a brand. The brand is physical, point of attack football. Don't make a lot of mistakes. Make people beat you. That's their game. And yeah, they got routed by South Carolina, but your season's not defined by one contest, typically. And they bounced back from it and had a real shot to knock off Georgia. And so credit to Kentucky for that.
Defensively, they were really good. I thought offensively up front, they were pretty good. They just skill position players outside of Barry and Brown. It's light.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Yeah. And it's one of the reasons that he's been very critical of their NIL. And people have gotten mad about it, but now you know. The skill players are really expensive.
Mm-hmm.
A week ago, we were commending Mike Gundy from basically saying the exact same thing that Stoops has said, that he got killed for. Gundy said, hey, look, at some places you got to he didn't say this, but it's kind of like you got to go TJ Maxx it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go straight into the department store and pay full price. It's too expensive. You got to go look on the discount rack, try to find a steal.
And discount rack quarterbacks don't work out a lot of times.
Most of the time they don't.
And I know Vandegrift had the big pedigree coming in and whatnot.
Sure. It's just not.
Doesn't look very good.
Well, you see why Georgia didn't fight to keep him. It's a part of
they
that.
looked up and went, yeah, go ahead.
I've always said this, and it rings true about 90% of the time. Usually if a big program lets a guy walk, there's a reason. If Georgia really wanted to keep Brock Vandegrift, they'd have kept him. They'd have paid him.
Yes.
And they didn't. They let him walk because they felt like the risk of him being an elite player that would come back to bite them was small.
We had no issue dropping 47.5 on Kent State, Tennessee. Would you lay 49.5 when they play Penn State?
Penn State?
That's a big number for Penn State to have to cover. Penn State, Kent State.
Oh, I was like Tennessee, Penn State. I was
no,
what?
Sorry. Penn State is hosting Kent State, and they are favored by 49.5.
Probably not. It's a big number for them. I don't know that.
I
don't know that Franklin is as insane right now as Heupel. I mean, Heupel did an onside kick up 30-something points because it was there. But he's taught his team. His team kind of has an MO of take what they give you, and they were giving you an onside kick, so they, by God, took it. Sent a message to his locker room, and it put it on film.
Yeah.
Look, whether they're right or wrong, we'll find out. But Tennessee believes Tennessee's legit.
They do.
I'm not talking about their fans. I'm not talking about media. I'm talking inside that building. They think they are a legit team. We'll find out. I'm not doing the things.
They're going to put the helmet on and line it up again.
Everybody don't do you said. Nope. I said they believe it.
It's why, look, I get Oklahoma struggles offensively, but I'm still really intrigued this week. That game is still very intriguing.
It is. By the way, we had a super chat earlier. Josh Tolbert, do you guys think Arch is now QB1? I mean, for this week.
Yeah, but
no, not when Ewers comes back. Ewers is their quarterback. Arch is damn good, though. Everybody's very. Is it possible that everybody's wrong? Sure, it happens, but it's rare. When everybody says a guy's elite, number one stuff, it's because he typically is.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not blown away by anything the other day. Okay.
No, that he was great?
Yeah.
Of course not. That he was eminently prepared and he's mature? Of course not. Look at his last name. Look at his pedigree.
I think Louisville's a pretty decent football team, favored by 10.5 against Georgia Tech on Saturday. That's intriguing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, if there's a way,
because look, you're talking about the playoff. Could Louisville get into the ACC title game, scare Miami, and cause this 2 ACC bid thing?
Sure,
that's because that's a lot of what this is going to come down to when we talk about the 5 and the 6. Is the Big 12 and the ACC can completely wreck that simply by having a team high enough that loses and stays in the 12, and Miami would be a candidate for that.
Yeah,
because Miami could be number 3 at the end of the regular season and yet lose and stay in the top 11.
Sure.
That's the Big 12. I don't know if they could sacrifice a loss. I feel like their best team losing would just knock their best team out.
That's why
you need Utah to lose a game, but
you need Utah to lose, and you really needed Arkansas to hold on to that Oklahoma State game.
And just end that and move on.
Yeah, and I know SEC fans don't view it that way because you physically can't. I get it, but you should. It's like now if you're Ole Miss, you kind of need Wake to be decent. I don't think you're going to get your wish, but you kind of need it.
Your game of the week, Arkansas on the Plains. Arkansas, Auburn, Saturday, 2:30 p.m.
I didn't see Auburn Saturday.
Auburn
so
-4 against Arkansas.
I don't know what Auburn looked like with Hank Brown,
They were
at quarterback.
fine. They were fine.
Arkansas did that fall asleep out of the gate thing. Came back and won, which is what you're supposed to do. But they did not do what I thought if I were Pittman, I would have tried to do with my team, which is, all right, look, let's admit that we killed ourselves. Let's get rolling. Instead, they were still hungover, which tells me he doesn't have that team. So I kind of have reversed I had a feeling on that game. That feeling has gone away.
The Green kid is really athletic and does a lot of good stuff, but you can see how he's kind of dime store a little bit. Like, you know what I mean? His composure is not great.
Well,
takes off running a lot.
He very clearly doesn't see the defense the way that when Petrino's really good, he has a smart quarterback who he's sort of symbiotic with. Because Petrino's scheme, man, is elite. That is multiple weeks in a row that they've got receivers just running wide open. His scheme is genius. It just is. Come at me. I don't care.
No, he's good.
People can do the motorcycle thing. Okay, he's a bad dude. He's a college football coach. He got company. Lots of company. But his scheme's elite. I don't think that kid can really run it. There were multiple times where that kid depends on his feet, where there was a throw right there. There was your hot read. Boom, get it to him. Oh, look, there's a slant. It was right there. Throw it. And he doesn't do that. So I'm kind of back to I kind of like Auburn minus the points here.
Something that I get Wake is not an incredibly talented football team, but a little teasing. I posted the snap count analysis stuff this morning, and Jackson on Saturday was elite facing blitzes and hitting the hot man. Shows you what a third-year guy that's an NFL quarterback is. He tore them apart when they blitzed because he just found the hot read immediately and they moved on with the day. He was 10 of 11 facing the blitz on Saturday.
Yeah, he made the one mistake. And Lane's pretty hung up on the one mistake right now. But he made the one mistake. Other than that, he played a really clean game.
Yeah.
He's really good. He takes what they give you.
For the most part, didn't take off and run. He was for Jackson, he was careful.
Yeah. I mean,
they'd like for him to run 0 times in those games, but
teams are kind of daring him to run now. Because Wake, after first few series, was like, screw this, we're dropping 8.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't guard them. They didn't have the guys to guard Ole Miss's speed. So they said, we're going to pick our poison, and our poison's going to be we're going to make you drive the football. And it worked the one drive. They got the interception.
Yeah. But it leaves gaping holes for Parrish to run through and the whole deal.
Yeah, well, they weren't going to stop them. That's why Clausen said it was an ass-kicking. It was.
It was stark. You watched 2 or 3 plays and went, oh, God. Like, just the speed differentials on the field.
I watched the warm-up.
Yeah, you went.
Again, I don't blame them at all.
Yes. They have a 0% chance of beating Ole Miss in Oxford next season.
Or anywhere.
And
so
I don't even know.
And
I don't even know Ole Miss is too deep.
Yeah, it
doesn't matter.
I don't blame them. They did the right thing for their program for $750,000. I have no issue whatsoever. None. Like none. 0. I know I don't get it. I'm saying that out loud, but he did what was best for his program. I don't blame them one bit. He looked at that, called their AD, and said, we ought not do this.
Is this one of those that goes really high on the public money and then we get bit? USC giving 5.5 to the Wolverines, who look pretty bad right now.
Well, I mean, Michigan's problem is they don't have a quarterback.
Yeah. So you have to have a low-scoring game. You got to really stop Miller Moss.
Well, I think SC's pretty good.
I do too.
I mean, SC beat a pretty decent LSU team. We'll get to LSU in a minute, I'm sure, but they play this week. Yeah, they play UCLA.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, no, I don't think this is a trap. I think USC probably goes over there and covers the line.
Do we know why the hell the Ole Miss line dropped like it did that last day and a half? You could get that thing at 20 by Saturday morning.
I don't know. I guess
Jeffrey and I were talking about it, and he said he guessed that the Sharps went, well, if you're going to give me the home 3-touchdown dog, I'll take it.
Sure. I don't know. Ole Miss looked a little sleepy at times against Middle, and maybe people thought, well, they'll have a letdown.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Memphis facing Navy. They've got a really good path now all of a sudden. I mean, one game in uptown New Orleans might be all that's between them and a berth now.
Well, I mean, we've made it our decision that we're going to give one of them a bid.
Yeah.
And if you're Memphis, you're now pointing at
You're
that
ready
bid.
to take it.
Sure.
Play the 5 seed and have at it.
And by the way, Florida State's not firing Norvell. They can't afford it.
Oh, no. They gave him a brand new deal.
People trying to do that last week, and I was like, stop. On Saturday night, there were people that were trying to fire Norvell, and I'm like, guys.
I don't think they can get to a bowl game. They suck.
Money's a thing. No, it's a total disaster.
It shows you when you go in the portal, by God. It's what Clawson kept saying all week that kind of got overlooked was how much continuity and chemistry Ole Miss had, even though they went to the portal. Because he kept going, hey, other teams don't have that part. They go pay for a bunch of dudes, and it doesn't really work.
Well, Ole Miss's quarterback's in his third year in the system. They've got defensive linemen in their third year in the system. Yes, they're transfers, but they're in their third year at Ole Miss. They've got a lot more continuity than it's where someone was doing the transfer story. And I was like, well, yes, but you've got to put some context on it. It's not like they went and just got 50 first-year dudes.
Yeah. Speaking of that game you just mentioned, it's next on our list, then we'll take a final break. LSU minus 22.5 against a bad UCLA team in Baton Rouge this weekend.
I'll lay 22.5. I will say this. If I hear one more person go Nussmeier's mid, no, he's not. If he were mid, they'd have L's right now. I thought he played a really solid game. Probably was the one game that I watched the most of just because of the timing. I thought he was really good to keep them in it and then to make some of the plays that he made down the stretch to win it. I thought he was really good.
Yeah, I felt bad for Carolina because they win the game going away if Sellers doesn't get hurt. Sure. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
But they're running him unnecessarily.
They are.
I mean, you've got Rocket Sanders back there who looks like Arkansas Rocket Sanders. Feed him. But they're determined to run it with Sellers. And when you run your quarterback, you take a risk. Hope he's okay. He's fun to watch. I get why people are excited about him.
I mean, Chris Clark was talking about, hey, he's athletic as hell back in our preseason when
we were
doing that conversation.
He is.
LSU is not a ton better defensively.
No,
they're still bad back there.
Yeah, they're bad defensively.
They're good offensively and bad defensively, and it makes for a average to slightly above average team.
It's why, but I've heard people do the Nussmeier thing, and I'm like, Nussmeier, according to multiple people, is playing his way into the first round of the draft.
He's just not Jaden Daniels.
One was a different kind of quarterback.
Yeah. But that's what he probably has to be for them to win 10 games or something. They just don't have it.
No, they're not doing that. But he will prevent them from losing 8 games.
Yeah. But I mean, if we're doing, it's still early. I still want to see a couple more. But if you're starting to kind of write X's, they might be one I go ahead and put over here with an X now and move out of the screen.
Sure.
As we're doing that.
It's kind of one of the things that's happened with Ole Miss a little bit as you watch Ole Miss and you watch these other teams. Now, here's the caveat. Ole Miss hadn't played anybody with a pulse yet.
Yeah.
And it might be different when they play somebody with a pulse. Yeah. I don't know.
You'll know a little bit about them with Kentucky in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Especially in certain matchups.
Sure.
And then you'll know a little more the next week, Carolina.
Yeah.
And then you'll go from there.
But suddenly you look at some of these games and go, nah, they're probably going to win that.
Yeah. No, I think so.
I mean, this was the first Saturday, and be careful here because I've learned it's the first Saturday that I actually thought going undefeated was on the table.
Oh, yeah.
On the table. I've never considered it on the table before.
I know what you mean.
I know. And look, and there are a couple of hot take people out there that will go, I told you. Yeah, but you do it every year. It doesn't count. If you say every year Ole Miss is going to win the championship, you don't get credit when they happen to get close to it. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's can't be awesome. And Ole Miss does have some deficiencies. I mean, I do think there are some issues with Ole Miss. We'll talk about it in a minute probably. I think the running game still, even though Parrish is putting up big numbers, I do think there are some issues there.
In the secondary.
And there's a couple of spots in the secondary that I think are detriments right now. Not just issues, but I think they're problems that other teams that have weapons are going to look at and go, okay, that's where we attack.
Yeah. All right, we'll come back. We'll talk about that in a second. G&M Pharmacy, 662-236-2222. They deliver locally in the Oxford area, and they offer medicine. Free prescriptions the same day each month. Take care of you. One call, one trip. You have everything you need when you need it with G&M or Tyson Drugs. They also transfer those medications. Again, one phone call. They take care of the rest and make it easy on you. So whether you're in Holly Springs with Tyson Drugs or Oxford with G&M, that's 662-236-2222.
I'll have a what he said, what he meant later today, probably closer to the evening time from Lane Kiffin's press conference this afternoon. It's brought to you by Andy Ledecky, myperfectfranchise.net. Are you a displaced corporate executive wanting to put your career in your own hands? Are you an experienced entrepreneur looking to diversify? Either way, Andy can help you. He's a longtime Rivals board member, a diehard college football fan, franchise veteran. He owns multiple franchises and businesses. He uses his expertise to help others find their American dream through a very thorough and free consultation process. So call Andy. Put your life and your career in your own hands. It's 100% free. You've got nothing to lose. Find your perfect franchise at myperfectfranchise.net, Andy at myperfectfranchise.net, or 404-973-9901. Have a mailbag to you on Wednesday that's brought to you by Art Hayes, Sotheby's International Realty. Are you thinking of making a move? Put the power of Sotheby's to work for you. As a licensed agent with Sotheby's and a supporter of all things Ole Miss, Art can help you buy or sell in your hometown or anywhere in the world at no charge to you. Seriously. So call and ask him how. 612-805-5929 or email art at arthur.hayes@lakesmn.com. Speaking of picks, we'll make another valiant effort on Thursday. It's brought to you by Kaiser Flooring. Locations in Oxford and Batesville, Kaiser provides outstanding quality flooring products and installation services to residential and commercial properties. They carry the best in hardwood, laminate, vinyl, and tile flooring, as well as carpeting. Their goal is to offer amazing and durable flooring products and superior services to make your life easier. At Kaiser, they believe the key to success is dedication to customer service and establishing relationships with the customers. Their staff is always ready to ensure that they complete your flooring project to your satisfaction. So give them a call today. It's kaiserflooring.com, 662-830-3194 in Oxford, or 662-371-1912 in Batesville. And we're brought to you by Meadowbrook Wealth Advisors of Raymond James. I'll have a Pete's Pigskin preview for you. We're actually taping a little earlier tomorrow. Get you ready for Georgia Southern at Ole Miss. Meadowbrook's full-service investment team based in Jackson, providing financial planning and investment management to clients across the state and surrounding areas. Ryan Geary and his partners are a local team that utilize the strength and resources of a national firm to bring their clients an impeccable level of service. This includes access to investment strategies, portfolio managers not available to all investors. If you're interested in a no-obligation consultation or just want to be added to their monthly market update email list, reach out to financial advisor Ryan Geary with Meadowbrook Wealth Advisors of Raymond James, 601-368-2215, or ryan.geary@raymondjames.com. Raymond James and Associates Incorporated, member New York Stock Exchange, SIPC.
AnySpark, the fastest, most reliable internet option available. Whether you're streaming the Rebels or connecting with friends and family, Spark offers both residential and business packages with speeds up to 2 gigabytes. That's new, 2 gigabytes now. Their lowest package now 300 meg as well. So to learn more, register for service. That's AnySpark.com. AnySpark, get connected, stay local. Let's see where we are in the lines for the week. Speaking of that Utah-Oklahoma State, somebody's going to lose. They play this weekend.
Yep.
Oklahoma State -3 at home against the Utes in that game. Don't really care, but sure, somebody's going to lose.
It's a good game. Kind of like Oklahoma State there.
Do you? Is Rising hurt?
He's hurt. I don't know his ability to play, how it's impacted.
Okay. Middle Tennessee, speaking of the Blue Raiders, they are getting 14 at home against the Duke Blue Devils this weekend.
If anybody sees me watching that, call the police. Okay? Call the police.
The Blue Raiders and the Blue Devils.
I'm being held against my will. My eyeballs are being put on something, and help me.
You like Duke to cover the 14?
I don't care.
You have seen your one Middle Tennessee State game of the year.
I'm good.
You saw enough.
I saw plenty.
With all respect to Derek Mason, you're done.
You know, when you're at the table, they say you're not supposed to say I'm full. You're supposed to say I've had plenty.
Yeah.
I've had plenty.
You've had plenty.
No, I do not want dessert.
Vanderbilt in Missouri this weekend, in Columbia, Missouri.
It was fun while it lasted.
It was.
It was cute.
I felt badly for them.
I did too. No, and I saw that they pulled ahead.
And you thought, hey, maybe.
I was like, oh, maybe they're going to be 3-0. How cute will that be? No.
Georgia State. Good team, by the way.
Mizzou got a little test. fell down 14-3 against a decent BC team, well coached BC team, and came back. I thought it was a big win for Missouri.
Yeah. They played fine.
I think the Tigers are good.
Yeah, they played fine, played well. They were good.
And by the way,
yep.
This Drinkwitz narrative that he's some weird guy or whatever, I thought the way that he interacted with the robot dog in the pregame thing was funny. I enjoyed it.
I don't find him funny, but I understand the process to know somebody at Missouri went, hey, we really need to publicize this stupid dog. Can you walk out there with him?
And so he played along.
And he went, okay. Fine.
And he did the thing. He made a joke about Kiffin and a joke about Herb Street, and it was funny. It was good. I don't know why people dislike the guy so much. I think it's media narrative. We've made up our mind that he's a nerd, and so we have to hate him. And no, he's a good coach, and he's pretty strong.
I'd be curious to see what he would have looked like here.
I think he would have done well.
Oh yeah, he would have done well.
I think it would have taken him time.
Yeah,
but he would have probably done really well.
Would have done better than Mike Norvell.
Yeah, he's a better fit than Norvell because he's more personable.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things about him that I think Ole Miss people would have really liked.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I almost said something. I won't. I'll stop.
Got a little ballast.
I was going to compare him to a former Ole Miss coach.
Oh.
Where there are some similarities, except I think there's a couple of huge differences.
Yeah, in good ways.
Yes.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm with you. TCU SMU on Saturday. Getting that gang back together there. For
call the police.
TCU giving 2.5 in Highland Park on Saturday.
Reach out to the law enforcement and say, I have a suspicion that someone is being held against his will.
Is FSU going to win number 1? They're favored by 2.5 at home against the Cal Bears on Saturday.
No, they will lose to Cal.
Cal's going to get them?
Cal's going to get them.
Justin Wilcox is a good coach.
And Cal's pretty good on defense and disciplined. No, DJ, whatever, will struggle.
Ukulele?
Yeah. I got in trouble when I did that. I'm glad you did it.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah. Someone yelled at me and called me a ist.
I don't know how to say it. I'm still working on Princely. Florida State, 2.5. There you go. Good job. Those Northwestern Wildcats that we're trying to get in Oxford here in a few years, go to home and home. They're at the Washington Huskies for a Big Ten showdown on Saturday.
Kudos to Washington State, by the way.
Big win for them.
Big win for them.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching the end of the Apple Cup. I had that on one of the computer browsers. Washington favored by 11.5 against Northwestern.
Sure.
Toledo is facing Western Kentucky, and they're only favored by 1.5. That tells you where Mississippi State's at right now.
Well, Toledo might be due a letdown too, a little bit.
Yeah, they had a big night. Look, no matter what, they had a big night. South Carolina playing Akron this weekend. Okay, 27.5. You're not going to play Sellers.
They got an open date, and then Ole Miss. They're not going to play Sellers. I kind of like Akron and the points here. South Carolina.
This feels sleepy.
They'll win the game. If I'm Beamer, this is, hey, let's just win.
This is not a.
If the gods came and offered you 17-10 right now, you'd go, okay.
Yeah, fine.
Everybody
will forget about it in 2 weeks. It'll be all right.
Yeah. It was a real missed opportunity for them.
It was. I felt badly for them in a way. They played better. They were the better team.
Well, and if the dude doesn't take the shot on Nussmeier, it's a pick six and they win the ball game.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't reverse back and blindside. That was
like the thing is like, and I think that's how it like. I think that played into any context negatively toward Nussmeier. It wasn't even about him as much as Carolina would be the better team and then get in their own way to a certain extent. You'd go, oh come on, just stop for 2 minutes.
Yeah,
but it was just penalty and turnover and penalty and like. And the refs were bad, and
the
it was
refs
just
were
like,
bad, but that was the right call.
The refs had the head. It's LSU on one helmet, so by God, they're supposed to be the better team.
But
so
you
we
didn't
made them the
need
better
to
team.
crack back on the quarterback. He was never catching that guy.
No.
Be smarter.
Yeah. And they weren't. They made a lot of bad decisions. They were stupid.
Be disciplined, and they weren't.
No.
It was, I hate the call, but it's the right call. It's like the Bengals call at the end of the game yesterday.
Yeah.
That ball's not catchable. He's not going to catch it, and the Bengals are about to beat the Chiefs.
Yeah.
But Dejon Anthony goes over his back. It was the right call, ball game. You knew Butker was going to make the kick.
Yeah. Tennessee minus 7.5 in Norman.
I'm laying them.
You're laying them. I'm laying them, but I'm aware. The line has not moved for Ole Miss. It opened at 35.5 and still sitting at 35.5. So that's where we are on that.
Which one?
Ole Miss.
What's the line now?
35.
I'll lay them.
Yeah, you're laying until you don't lay. I mean,
Yeah, I'm going to lay till I'm burned.
Boston College back at home, -6.5 against Michigan State. Baylor catching 2 points in Boulder, Colorado this weekend. Dave Aranda and the Bears.
Go Bears.
Texas -45.5 against your ULM Warhawks on Saturday.
I mean, I'm laying
45.5 is a big number for that game.
It's a big number, but I'm laying them.
Okay.
Sure. Texas looks real. They'll probably let Arch put up big numbers.
Oregon State -6 against an awful Purdue team. Notre Dame just boat raced them on Saturday. Yeah. BYU, Kansas State, and then your late game, you'll get it, Hawaii and Northern Iowa on Saturday night. Flip it on the TV.
Call the authorities.
Well, you might be kind of amped up still.
Then I'll read a book. I won't be watching.
Adrenalized, as they would say.
So Ole Miss and Georgia Southern will play at least 4 hours. The game will be over at 10:45. I will be back in the press box with you at like 11:45. Yeah, I'm looking at 2 in the morning. And I'll tell myself, you're going to sleep, you're going to sleep, you're going to sleep, and I'll be up at 7. Yeah.
A 7 would be fantastic.
But next week.
Would love 7.
Next week.
Yeah.
11 a.m.
It is.
We're due one.
It is kind of time.
It's time.
Town's going to be a madhouse, too, by the way.
Because Carolina's going to be a night game. Well, the madhouse part won't affect me.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
They can have the town. But
yeah, town's yours.
Go ahead.
Don't burn it down. Just have fun. Yeah, that won't impact me at all.
But yes, 11 a.m. for that one. That is 100% true. So we'll do a bit of NFL tomorrow. I mean, I do have some Saints takes. Just today was not the day for them.
I didn't watch a lot of the Saints, but I'm going to tell you this about the Saints. From what I saw, unless you subscribe to some Dallas sucks theory, and I don't.
No, I don't either.
The Saints are real.
Yeah.
That quarterback coach is about to the offensive coordinator is about to go make a lot of money as an NFL head coach.
Yeah.
I mean,
if Derek Carr suddenly is a top 10 NFL quarterback.
Now, I will tell this to the Saints. You should be preparing your new OC search right now.
But that's tomorrow's problem.
But yes. They look real. And they have a ton of weapons.
Tampa looked good too.
Tampa did look good. Taysom is used really well in that offense. They've established a running game, which is something that a lot of NFL teams struggle with. Because it's very hard to run against NFL front sevens because everybody in the NFL front seven is so freaking good. But no, I thought the Saints looked real. I thought the Saints looked like a contender 2 games in.
Yeah, I agree with that.
What Carr is, it's the reason why he's still in the NFL. Carr is a guy that understands the systems that he's put in. He's very smart. He's got enough arm talent to make the throws. And he doesn't make a ton of mistakes. And in this system, boy, they're putting him in they are stressing defenses enough that Carr is able to make plays. And the guy clearly has a lot of leadership skills. He's very charismatic. And then I thought defensively, the Saints, even without.
Well, they're always pretty good defensively. They're not bad defensively.
But they were without their best DB, and it didn't really show up. I thought they had a really good scheme against Prescott. They got to Prescott. You want to get the ball out of his hands. They did.
Their OL has been better than thought because they've had a ton of shakeup there up front. It's okay. But yeah, Tampa had a really good win against Detroit yesterday.
Yeah. I had that game on. I kept falling asleep, and then the Trump stuff came out, and that changed as the afternoon went on, so I suddenly got kind of interested in that.
Falcons, Eagles tonight for your Monday night game.
Yeah. I could not stay up and watch Bears last night. I was too tired. I watched
it, but
I watched a decent amount of Bengals, Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
Bengals just kind of gave that one away.
They did.
The Chiefs get protected a little bit, but Mahomes is terrific. And then I'll tell you a team that was impressive yesterday at times when I didn't watch a ton of it, but what I did watch, 2 weeks in a row, the Arizona Cardinals have looked like a pretty good team.
I couldn't have been more wrong. They looked great yesterday. They looked really good yesterday. Kyler was efficient, was effective. He was great. He was fantastic.
Who did not look great was Anthony Richardson.
Oh.
That's a mess.
Oh, God.
Who did not look great was Will Levis.
Sam Darnold looked good again yesterday.
Yeah, Darnold did look good. That was a little bit predictable. The Niners coming off a big game, having to fly across the
And
country.
McCaffrey's on IR now. At least 4 more weeks.
Yeah. But, interesting. The NFL's always interesting. It's a great product. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But, no, the Saints really stick out right now.
They do. They're there.
The Saints are through 2 weeks, which is a really small sample size in the NFL, but through 2 weeks, the Saints are one of the big stories. And then another team that's awful, just awful. The Carolina Panthers. Oh my God.
Historically suck.
0-17 is on that table.
Yes. Historically suck. If you have the Panthers under 4.5, feel great about it.
Oh yeah.
No shot in hell.
I mean, again, the odds are they'll win a game somewhere, but
0-5.
But 0-17 is absolutely on the table.
Yes.
Like just center of the table, like a Thanksgiving turkey. A real thing. Like it could really happen.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it shows you, and it's the one thing I find most fascinating about football is this is the NFL. They do a tremendous amount of scouting. A tremendous amount. If you just had any idea the layers of NFL scouting, and yet they make quarterback mistakes so frequently.
It's hard.
So it shouldn't shock you when college teams make
when Vandegrift isn't good or whatever. You go, okay,
well, and then we have like 4 or 5 days, right? You're trying to decide, can this kid play for us? And you're talking to people, and they finally just go, here's $1 million, come play.
Yeah.
And then when it's a bust, everybody goes, Mike Norvell's an effing idiot. No, he just made a quarterback mistake, man. Made a bad one.
Mm-hmm.
And people go, well, you should have known. Okay, well, why don't we do this with the NFL?
Yeah.
NFL teams, look at Anthony Richardson, man.
Very talented.
I mean, but he's a bust.
He is.
A total disaster.
It'll take a few more weeks for their media to say it, but it's over.
Well, they don't want to say it because 2 or 3 of the people in their media have been saying it, and they are the people that they don't like. And so they're having to.
We're going to put our foot down for a while.
Well, like the Dan Dakich thing.
Yeah.
Most media hate Dakich.
Yeah.
And so Dakich has been on this since the beginning that this was a bad pick. This was a disaster. This is going to set the franchise back, blah, blah, blah. And so a lot of the Indiana media that doesn't want to admit he's right is they're making fools of themselves and hanging on a little longer.
Mm-hmm.
Media's fascinating.
Yeah.
When you really dive into media, it's really fascinating. Because if you people only knew the number of agendas that are out there, wow.
NFL tomorrow, more coming up. Do me a favor, though, real quick. We got another Bourbon South coming out in the morning. Katie Penninger's my guest. She's one of the main architects of the redesign, marketing-wise, for the Kentucky Bourbon Trail, and I'm optimistic that maybe they're a bigger part of our situation moving forward. So do me a favor. They're doing a World Bourbon Toast starting tonight. It's worldbourbontoast.com. It's going for 26 hours live stream. It's the 25th anniversary of the Kentucky Bourbon Trail, and they're having guests on the top of the hour all over the world for 26 straight hours on this live stream. They're talking to distillers. They're talking to people in other countries. Just 26 hours. You need places from everywhere. So yes. I think it's pretty neat content. You can also see the hashtag. So just as a personal favor to me, I would appreciate any assistance with this. It is kybourbontrail.com to plan, and then World Bourbon Toast coming up later today and all throughout tomorrow for that. But we'll drop that probably late today or early in the morning for the next episode. Tons of content in MPW Digital. Neal can gloat at Tyler a little bit. Tyler picked a money line on Saturday that team was down 52-7 at one point in the game with North Texas and Texas
I think
Tech.
I went 2-9 for the week.
Did you really? No gloating.
I will not be
No
gloating
for Mr. McCready on this.
There's a 0% chance of me gloating at all.
It is a no gloat day today on McCready and Siskey.
I'm right now just trying to appease a wife who is pissed off.
Very worried about that bet.
Well, yeah, and I don't blame her. I mean,
I had questions when I saw it.
Well, I'll just tell you this. If it goes really, really bad, no shit, I'll have to do remote shows for a while. I will not be able to come home.
Okay. MPW Digital.
Like if I've got a broken jaw,
you're not gonna.
I'll have to go to Charlotte.
I don't think you'll have a broken jaw.
Oh, drunk rednecks.
I told you I had questions.
I mean, people are going to throw stuff. She's livid.
Rebelgrove.com.
Not because she's worried about me, but she knows the money.
Yeah.
And she knows photos and stuff. And she's pissed off. And I don't blame her. And You know what I mean? Like it's like I know we got to go. It's the Wake Forest thing. Like everybody's mad, and I'm like, I get it. I get why they did what they did. It makes total sense.
Mhm.
I totally understand why she's so pissed off at me.
Yes.
She's right.
Yeah.
I'm
All right. No argument.
no argument. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you're right. I agree. It's idiotic.
Very last thing, Ramos for the Giants last night. First ever right-hander to hit a ball into McCovey Cove. It's taking this long for a right-hander to
Who
do
did it?
Helio Ramos last night.
Who is he?
He plays for the Giants.
Oh,
David Peralta hit a tie-breaking single in the 10th inning, and the San Diego Padres overcame Ramos, becoming the first right-handed batter to homer into McCovey Cove with a 4-3 win over the Giants on Sunday, completing a 3-game sweep.
Oh.
Opposite field drive into the water behind the right field stands in the ninth off Robert Suarez. It looks impossible just by looking at the wall and the weather here, he said, adding it was insane to him. 25 years old.
Yeah.
First person to ever do it.
Good for him.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Back tomorrow. Take care. Talk to you then.